Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Now, with the referendum out of the way, we put the spotlight this week on the district level and unit committee elections and matters arising in our Citizens Forum on this month's local government elections. We'll be helped by Acting Dean Studies and Research of the Institute of Local Government Studies, Frederick Ejako Ojo. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, Daniel.
Of course, the referendum is out of the way, and that was the caption of the conversation. But surely, since you're here, you give it a few comments. What do you make of this latest development with the abortion of the referendum?
I think it's a huge opportunity lost. My stance is that the local government system is not fit for purpose. It's not delivering. And for us in Accra, the first thing I'll point out to is look at waste management, just that. But we can talk about a whole lot of other things that are not working right with our local government system. And even fundamentally, our failure to develop as we expect as a people. Our development, fiscal development around us is so bad and unacceptable. But what is the underlying problem? We needed to have gone back to look at the whole construct of local governance and the decentralization we're practicing. At the very top of the agenda should have been fixing the political side of decentralization. And I'm yet to be convinced by anybody that multi-party politics is the worst form of political system.
The question is, was it not a compromise that could have been made? Could we not have fixed the local government system and left out political party representation?
I don't believe so. Because the fundamental issue is the control of the center over the subnational government. And if you really want to empower the district or the subnational governments, that's the MMDs, you need to first fix the political side of it. And I would insist that multi-party democracy is the best form of democracy that I can think of. No, I mean, we tend to look at the excesses that we've seen in our country. And I think our politics has also matured. In fact, sometimes when Ghanaians talk about difficulties of our multi-party system, I laugh. This is a country that we've had President Rawlings handing over to President Kufuor. Under President Kufuor, by a whisker. I mean, the 20,000, 40,000 votes is very minute. But then there was a successful change in government from President Kufuor to President Mills in 2016. I mean, even in 2012, when the MPP was not satisfied with the election results, what did they do? They didn't cut it. They went to court. We have strong institutions to support us. Then, 2016, a certain president lost. I mean, he could have created all the chaos he wanted in other jurisdictions. A whole lot of things could have happened. But what did he do? Graciously, he stepped down. So if anybody tells me our democracy has not matured, yes, we will look at the Ayawaso West Wagons and the likes, but I challenge other people. In the last 3, 4, or even 5 national elections, when have we ever had violence in any of our elections? That is why we need to go to the by-election issue. How do you fix that problem? Because when everybody's attention is on one single constituency, then it becomes a big issue. Mind you, we lost a whole president. A sitting president, we lost him tragically. But Ghana didn't die. There was a smooth transition. So we need to look into ourselves. And I believe that, well, maybe in our lifetime, we may not get this opportunity again. But the little hope I have is that the president said he's withdrawing so that there could be further discussions. I hope the further discussions can be held.
Ejako Ojo, let's set our eyes now on what is before us. That is the district level election as it stands now, the election of assemblymen and women. What is it all about? Help us understand why it's important.
Okay, first and foremost, assemblies, if you go to the assemblies, we have different functionaries. And critical part of that is the assembly members. In fact, in corporate world, we would have regarded them as the board of directors. They give the direction. They act like the parliament does. They make the decisions and they deliberate on matters. They come up with the bylaws. They agree on critical things like the fees that the assemblies will charge. They approve plans, development plans and the likes. So by the construct of our local government system, the assembly members are very, very critical parts of the system. And they have various functions they perform. They must attend meetings and take their decisions, critical ones. And we do have two sets of assembly members. We have the elected assembly members and then the appointed assembly members. What are we going to do? The appointed assembly members form close to 2/3 of the membership of the assembly. I'm saying close to 2/3 because you take out the chief executive and the we do have our members of parliament are also ex officio members of our assembly. So they form part of the 2/3, and then 1/3 of the assembly members are appointed. So we're going in to elect them. Part of the challenge we have in our local government system is that in assembly level election, there is such an abysmal turnout. In 1988-89, when we had the first of this, under this current system of local government, when we had the first election, the voter turnout was about 56%. Subsequent to that, we've never gone beyond 40%. And turnout has fluctuated, but it's always been below 40% since that particular election. So one of the challenges of our local governance system is the turnout, and then even the willingness of a lot of people to participate is also another major challenge. And currently, one major problem we're also seeing with the election of assembly members is the representation of women. Women who participate is so low. Currently, the percentage of women contesting is even less than 15%. And we are not going to get all of them elected. So it's a major challenge we are facing.
Right.
Women are so underrepresented in the assembly. Even the appointive system has not cured it. It's even worsened it. So we need to really take a hard look at the local government system.
Okay, so how do we begin to generate that interest that would be required for more participation in the system?
By women.
No, and not just by women.
More
participation in the system generally.
You're taking me back to the role of political parties. For in a democracy, political parties offer the best vehicle for mobilization. I'm yet to be convinced by anyone that there is any other system that engenders greater participation and mobilization in politics than political parties. So part of the challenge is that because the political parties are absent technically, I'm saying technically because overtly they are there, but because the law says don't do it, they can't come out and use the whole of their machinery to mobilize individuals. So one of the first things is to do with the failure of the absence of the political parties, in quotes. I'm using that advisedly because they are there. Because in the current election, I'm quite aware of political parties organizing so-called primaries.
So how does that make a difference in how in the interest that is engendered in the election itself?
It has made a lot of interest because this would have been a midterm election. If we had political parties actively participating in the current local level election, every party would boldly come out to say that I want this constituency or municipality or assembly. I want that area. I have a total number of so many assembly members, showing I'm going to be, I'm in pole position to win the next election. That would have been one psychological effect of political parties rising up to support the mobilization at that level. Then again, the assembly system, I'm saying it's not fit for purpose. It's not delivering as we expect of them. For which reason, a lot of people don't see the importance of the assembly system. At the institute, we conducted, into the referendum, we did conduct a series of surveys. And when you ask people as to why they were not intending to vote in the referendum, and for that matter, the district level election, one of the key points they raised was that they didn't see the importance of the assemblies. In fact, I have incidences. I mean, we have incidents that people went out to talk to market women. And we know that one group of people that is so close to the assembly is market women. Mm-hmm. And they refused to talk. They said the assembly system is not necessary. It's not helping.
Is it not because of a lack of effectiveness when it comes to how the assembly is managed, how sanitation is managed, how road work is managed? Is that not what has caused the apathy towards the assembly system?
Yeah, that may be. But why is that becoming an issue? It's becoming an issue because we've not fixed a lot of things at the assembly. The assemblies don't have money. They're inefficient. They can't even collect their own, property rates. We can talk about, today I was on another program with a gentleman, Kofi Kapito, and he drew attention to just take parking lots. Coming here, I was even struggling to get a space. But take the whole Accra, the Central Business District. If we have on-street parking system, and we have effective system to ensure that monies raised do not go into the wrong pockets. Can you imagine how much money the AMA and the Ayahuasca West and the other municipalities around us would have gotten? Look at the property rates.
Aren't these the same conversations we have when we are talking about national politics as well? I mean, property rates. The finance minister mentioned that
it is not
his property rates are not being collected. Still,
the property rate is not within the domain of central government. It is part of the revenue sources the assemblies are supposed to go for, but they don't.
What I'm saying
or they
is
can't.
The question I'm asking is the inefficiencies you point at with the local government system, are they not similar to the same inefficiencies when it comes to ministries and how effective they are, how productive they are there?
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so because if you look at the local government system, you come to realize that this is the government closest to the people. They appreciate local issues. They know what people really need most. But you go there because of the setup we have. The assembly is so far removed from the people. People do not feel the impact of the assembly. But typically, from cradle to the grave, you have a lot to do with the assembly. As soon as you are born, you're going to need birth certificate and supposed to be issued from the assembly. When you die, you're going to need a death certificate. Even the burial site, the mortuary that you may be kept, it must be certified by the assembly. The burial grounds, an assembly must certify that. All these things are in the hands. In between, you have your education, you have provision of water, you have your health. All these things must be, the assembly has a role to play.
So how can we as average citizens contribute more to the efficiency of the assembly, especially with the upcoming district level elections on December 17th?
Well, the first thing that I suggest we need to do is to be more interested in what goes around us. Most of us don't see the essence of the assembly. We must begin to demand more from them. We must question even the decisions they make, not just the money. We must question the money they claim to spend, but we must query their decisions. We need to demand more accountability from them. We need also to be aware of who are we selecting. You see, people forget that if you fail to vote in an election, you are contributing to elect most probably the wrong candidate. So we need to be aware of what is going around us. Who is contesting for the election? What is their background? What are their capabilities? So that we can help choose the right people. And then we need to hold them accountable for it. These are some of the key things that we don't know. One other challenge I also think we do have in this country is that we don't put enough emphasis on local governance. And I'm pleading with you as a top media person that let us focus a little more on the local level. Because development, all development, like they say, is local. If where you live and where you work are developed, you have your street lights, you have good roads. When it comes to roads, are you not asking the assemblies what they are doing? Because some of the roads are in the hands of the assembly. Why are we always going to central government? But then the question also remains, how much resources are we giving to the assemblies?
Which is where I was going to, because there are a number of the roads which are beyond the threshold of these district assemblies. And some would ask that even with what is given to them to manage, you still find a lot of gaps in their management.
I mean, I'm not too much worried about the management of the assemblies because we've never had a higher caliber of people working in the assembly than presently. In the last 10 years or so, the Office of the Head of Local Government Service has recruited so many competent staff. But having the competent staff is not enough. You need to give them the resources. So we must allow funds to follow their functions. Otherwise, I mean, we would have set them up to fail, literally. So we need to work at it. How much money do we give to them? We say we give them 5% of total revenue of the country in the form of the District Assembly Common Fund. Is it enough? What is the comparative level of national revenue is given to the local level in other jurisdictions?
Tell me.
You go to the Scandinavians, they are giving close to 65%. In some countries, the average is about 40% in most countries. I mean, serious democracies. And here in Ghana, we give 5%, and you think we've done well. It took individuals, I mean, private citizens, to go to court to even insist that of the 5%, we should include petroleum revenues, because that had been taken off the national revenue by central government. And these are the critical issues we need to start looking at. Then we come to even what we call internally generated funds. These are sources that are by law the assemblies have been tasked to collect. But in reality, you go there, the assemblies have difficulty in collecting, because there are individuals who think they are so powerful that they even refuse to pay property rates. The rich, I mean, there's a community in Accra, I don't want to mention the name, but they fall under the Adenta Municipal Assembly. And for years, they've resisted the payment of property rates. And it's perhaps one of the richest communities in the whole of Ghana.
A lot of people point to the apathy again that they have. They don't see the development, and so they don't want to pay the rates.
Why do you say, why would you even think of not paying when by law you have to pay? That's why we have to pay, but we must demand accountability. We must insist things are done. I mean, one assembly that is doing so well now that I can cite, you go to the Ghana East, Ghana South Municipal Assembly, and they are doing fantastic. They are working so well with the various communities that you see real improvement in the area. And these are examples we should cite for people to learn from.
Mr. Ejakodro, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
You're welcome.
All right, it's still live on the Pulse here on the Joy News channel. Still to come, EcoBank makes the single biggest contribution to addressing the country's sanitation crisis with a $10 million investment to provide bins and payment system for sustainable waste management. Have we found the solution to the sanitation crisis? We find out here on the Pulse. We'll be right back. Stay with us.